Coming up today, the S&P 500 snaps a 6-day win streak. Fortnite is approved by Apple. What does this mean for the stock overall? China saying the U.S. is undermining trade talks, basically wanting their chips to be in the U.S. a little bit more and looked at. iPhone's kind of hurting with some bad news with their China exports. A new $175 million Golden Dome, and it's pretty cool, not even gonna lie. You want to hear about this? If you guys want to take your trading to the next level, I made an option course, so go check it out if you guys want. First link in the description below. It's currently half off, so buy it while it's on sale. If not, you got to pay full price, of course. But it's okay if you guys don't want to check it out. I try to make videos and stuff like that to help you guys out too, free of charge. Hit that sub button and enjoy the video. Let's get into some news, supports and resistance, and things to watch. Overall, man, stocks like NVIDIA, SPY, we're not really looking too good right now, especially for the SPY. We broke below that 590, and now we got to see how it opens up. Basically, have your patience today. We might have a little bit of a buyback and or bigger sell-off. So keep that in mind. Overall, we are getting a little bit more easing with the market overall. And some earnings, man. Let's talk about Home Depot first. So the surprise for the earnings was down almost 1%, and the revenue kind of beat over 1.5%. At first, the stock rose 2.5% with good earnings. And they also stated that they're not going to rise their prices based on tariffs. Walmart recently announced their earnings, basically saying that they're going to rise their prices and basically saying that they might fire new people and stuff like that. So less jobs overall, but Home Depot didn't have any of that. But also keep in mind that Trump didn't like this, and other companies might be more cautious about announcing their tariff prices and things that basically don't benefit the market, and kind of just like things in return with tariffs overall. Next, we're going to talk about Nepis, highlighted as a potential breakout stock in the AI data center sector, backed by NVIDIA and Jeff Bezos, with earnings reported recently. The stock was noted for a 4.3% gain. We did move up a little bit, but honestly, man, the surprise 0%, and the earnings, man, down by 4.3%, which is insane. But you can see the stock up or down. I do recommend looking at it because AI is getting bigger and only bigger. I'm going to be coming out a video a little bit later talking about robotics and where AI is really going, because there's a lot that came out recently, and honestly a lot of money to be made with this, so keep that in mind. So look at these two stocks. On some news, we did snap the 6-day winning streak. We were going pretty well, pretty strong, honestly beating some decent levels. I do want to see if SPY can hit that 600 level and S&P hit that 6,000 level, but honestly just got to be very, very patient, wait and see, and have your patience. Basically, Fortnite is approved by Apple. Finally, it's been 5 years since, I mean, honestly, since the beef started, ever since like Fortnite came out for mobile. It's been out and then kind of got removed because Apple had too many fees and kind of just took too much money from people, and just been fighting this for a while, and now it is back on Apple devices. I actually looked myself, and honestly kind of insane. But basically, man, people are waiting on some more fuel to go back to the upside, because honestly, if we look at the overall charts recently, we can kind of see that the SPY and stuff like that has just been moving up and down, not really a constant trend upwards like we've seen recently. Like we see here, look at this, a constant upward trend. We did get relief with the markets overall, with the trade tensions getting kind of decreased. That 90-day pause helped out the markets a bunch, but basically we're waiting on more fuel. We do have potential for deals coming out. Trump did come out saying that 15 countries are in the works right now, so that can really bring markets up and fuel what we've been waiting for, basically. But basically, man, hopefully we get some good news going up higher. If not, we might see a big, I'm not a big, but like a decent sell-off. And then if bad news comes out, of course, we're going to see even worse sell-off. But like I said before, with the beef with China, basically isn't really making markets too certain, and honestly making it more uncertain. So basically, China accused the U.S. of undermining, and basically just want their chip, basically a competition with NVIDIA, to be looked at more in the U.S. and kind of used in the U.S. and kind of take some money, to say in short. But basically, just understand that this 90-day pause was kind of just an agreement. It wasn't really signed, so things can change. And if basically U.S. does not meet the demands and or get their chips in the U.S., it might be a little bit bad. It might get some bad news coming out, like this pause might be canceled, or just tariff deals go back up, or just something bad, so keep that in mind, because this can bring markets down if we get bad news. So yeah, so Apple is kind of taking a hit because the Chinese exports are at a new low for iPhones. We've been seeing a trend of this with other products as well, so keep that in mind too. I mean, the tariffs can really not benefit this at all, but I mean, with the relief, we might see a little bit better sales overall. But honestly, this just isn't looking good for Apple stock, so look at Apple to the downside, and Apple hasn't really been moving that much neither. So yeah, man, just keep that in mind. So we have Golden Dome that's coming out. It's going to be worth $175 billion. That's a lot of money. but basically it is a missile defense shield. They want hundreds of satellites, and each satellite basically detect and track incoming missiles and even intercept. So that's kind of insane. This is going to be honestly a big thing to come out. So look at some companies that relate to that. I'm going to try and find some companies and get that to you guys in the next video. With easing tensions with India and Pakistan, and talks between Trump and Putin and Iran has kind of reduced some of the uncertainty in the markets. So keep that in mind. We do have a ceasefire, so that is great for the market. So now let's talk more about the Russia, US, and Iran. So basically, talks are primarily over Iran's nuclear program. They basically just want to prevent Iran from making nuclear weapons. US and Iran have been making indirect talks, and Russia is basically playing the role of a facilitator. These talks are to revive and replace the 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which the US withdrew from in 2018. Russia is mainly involved basically with their strategic partnership, and just the US just wants balance in their national security. So keep that in mind. This can bring some better certainty in the markets overall, and maybe bring some stocks up, some defense stocks. So keep that in mind. So let's look at some stocks, price and resistance, supports and resistance, some plays you can potentially make today. I do recommend waiting until market opens to really make your play. Wait at least 5, 10, 15, even 20, 30 minutes to make your first play. Don't rush, don't have FOMO or anything like that. But honestly, watch that 590 level. If you can't bounce above that and stay above that, look at it dropping even more, maybe making a V-shaped recovery later on like we've seen here. But with that being said, first level to watch is 588.3, 585, and then 583.5, and that 580 level is going to be key to the upside. Look at 590 if you can break above that, 592.5, 594.5, and then all the way up to that 600 level. Everybody's going to be watching the 600 level. There's probably going to be a bunch of sells up there. So if we can break above the 600 level, we might be able to see 601.5, 605, and then 610, but that might be later on. But honestly, man, just have your patience, please. Next is Apple. I'm looking at Apple to the downside, especially with that bad news, but bad news can only take you too far. It's not really too bad, but they are losing a decent amount of money in revenue for potential earnings. So to the downside, look at 205 flat, 204.2, and then all the way down to that 203.5, and then 202, and then that 200 level for Apple. But honestly, have your patience in this. Don't just play it to the downside because bad news came out. That bad news came out yesterday anyway, so we did see a big sell-off, but a little bit of a recovery. So to the upside, look at 206.5, 207.5, 209, and that 210 level is going to be a key level. Past that, look at 211.5 and then 215. Just have your patience, like I said, man. Wait for market open, see how it's moving. Kind of go with the momentum. Next is going to be Nvidia. We did see a big hit with their sales. I think $16 billion in revenue from not being able to sell their H20 chip, but they are eligible to sell chips to China now, so we might see it to the upside. We see a bunch of orders and stuff like that, but kind of just overall, I think we got all this hype with Nvidia orders and stuff like that, and we reached the highs of like 135, and then all the way up to like almost 140, but like 137. So honestly, man, I think we're just losing some steam on Nvidia too. So to the downside, look at 132.5, 132, and then 130 flat. I'm not saying it's going to go down. We might be able to make a little bit of a recovery, go back up to 135. But honestly, to the way up, look at 133.9, 134.5, and then all the way up to that 135.5, 136.2. And then let's look at that 140, man. I don't know if we get the 140. People are saying we can, but honestly, I think we just need some more steam with Nvidia. We did just have an event, and honestly, robots are coming out, and just more data on robots. And honestly, man, their AI for robots is insane. It can learn after humans. So honestly, there's a lot with Nvidia. But in the short term, just take your time with Nvidia. Next is going to be Palantir. Palantir has been dying a decent amount ever since it touched its highs of like 133. Yeah, 133.5. So look at it to the downside first, but honestly, just work with momentum because we are at a lower range, so we might be able to come back a little bit. But to the downside, look at 124 flat, 122.5, 120 flat, and then 117.5. To the upside, look at 126.5, 127.5, and then 129. And then past that, look at 130 for Palantir. Next, we're going to talk about is Tesla, because Tesla has been kind of dying, but people are buying in for robotics, stuff like that. Robotics are going to take over their EV, which is insane. But honestly, man, I think 350 ain't really a good range to load up for your long term, of course. But honestly, watch that 350 level. If we bounce above that, we might be able to get back up to 155, sorry. And then past 155, look at 160 and 165. To the downside, look at 142 and then 140 flat, and then 135 and then 130 for Tesla. Bitcoin, honestly, man, I think we hit 108. almost $108,000, which is insane. Bitcoin has been rallying a decent amount. People are saying load up, which is insane. So we are getting a little bit of a pump with Bitcoin in general, but some option plays, stuff like that. I would recommend watching MSTR, moves with Bitcoin, Coinbase also. And then if you guys don't want to risk too much money, I recommend looking at IBIT. It's an ETF that moves exactly with Bitcoin. And honestly, man, if we go down here, man, look at some options. They're like $300, $350 now. You know, premiums are getting a little bit higher, but of course, you're not risking too much money. Like if we go over here to MSTR, it's like $33,000. So that's a lot more money. And then Coinbase might be 2,000. Yeah, around $2,000. So have your patience with Bitcoin, of course. Learn how it moves. Honestly, different times can move differently, and then different news can move it differently too. So keep that in mind overall for Bitcoin. But these are some plays, news, everything like that. Comment down below any other stocks that you want me to watch, cover, anything like that. I make daily shorts also with some news that you guys kind of just need on the go to say. And I make daily videos like this all the time. Thanks for watching the video. Smash the like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.